out there, all you death heads and violators? Welcome to the Deth-N-Vengeance show. I'm your host, Jonny Death. With me always, Majin Drew, and the very, very evil Eddie Gein. Deth-N-Vengeance show, coming at ya.
Hey, welcome back, all you death heads and violators. You got Johnny Death and Eddie Gein. We're going to be talking about some wrestling stuff today. So recently, what was it, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we had it was kind of a lame Royal Rumble, honestly.
There was some hit and misses. Some of the matches were like, like the AJ Styles and
Daniel Bryan.
That was I saw people walking up and leaving during the match,
and drinks.
It wasn't. You would think two wrestlers that caliber would put on a fucking good show. I mean, it wasn't a bad match, but it was kind of like the tag match with like Bobby Roode and who do you team up with? It was Bobby Roode and
Chad Gable or something.
Yeah, and that one was.
I skipped like all the pre-show stuff. I watched the part of the Becky Lynch and Asuka match.
That was a good one.
That one was good. The Women's Royal Rumble was really good. It was kind of even better than the Men's Royal Rumble, honestly.
You know what? Like, I'm not trying to sound whatever, but like years ago, I was watching WWE. It was back when there were still divas, and it was real. You know, they hadn't hit the revolution yet.
Yeah.
And I was watching TNA, and the TNA, they said we don't call our females knockouts. I mean, we don't call them divas. We call them knockouts because they fucking fight whatever. And for a while, TNA, their knockouts were, you know, they had a tag team, you know, thing that the WWE didn't have. And there were, you know, the female wrestlers in TNA were doing a lot more. Then all of a sudden, they just kind of stopped the momentum. And I think that's after the Hogan and Bischoff, they took over TNA, and they're like, no, brother, we're going to do back, you know, it's a guy sport and whatever. And I kept saying for years, I was like, you know, they need to have a fucking female Hell in a Cell match. They need to have a female Rumble. They need to have more female-driven matches. Because I would see some matches, and I would see some TNA wrestlers and stuff that, you know, like female wrestlers. I was like, man, these girls are good, you know, like there's some, you know, WWE, they need to, you know, get their spot. And it wasn't until, 7-8 years after I was saying this, they finally started like, hey, wait a minute, let's give the females, you know, whatever stuff. And
helps a lot that they brought a lot of like indie talent.
Yeah.
And they're really good at like wrestling and stuff. So
yeah, and I would see some matches and like some like the ladies in Japan and stuff like that, and I was like, God damn, is these some good, you know, fucking performers, you know? I was like, how come they're not given, you know, a proper shake? And so fast forward now, you know, 2019, you know, like they got their own Rumble match. They got their own, you know, well, last year they had a main event at WrestleMania. Who was it? Charlotte Flair and
Becky Lynch. I don't remember if that was the headliner.
Oh, I know, but like a lot of you know, there's been a couple pay-per-views. Oh shit, they had their own pay-per-view, right? Evolution and stuff like that, or
yeah, Women's Evolution or something.
So. Yeah, as for the women's Rumble match, it was really good, really good.
You had a lot of good wrestlers in there. Like there was a lot of good spots. That one really skinny girl, that one from Ninja Warriors.
Yeah,
I like that thing where she did with the rope. She like kind of twisted and like she even had a spot where like she got knocked out and then she comes back in the ring
because like her feet didn't touch the floor and stuff.
They had like a couple of those. They had one with what's her face, Naomi, that glow bitch.
Yeah,
where like she gets knocked off and then she goes in the little barricade.
Mm-hmm.
She does that.
That's some Kofi Kingston shit.
Yeah, they had a couple of those spots that I don't know. Those are always a fan favorite.
I think they told the girls, they're like, look, this is your first, you know, like, I mean, because they had like a Royal Rumble. Right?
Yeah, they had a Royal Rumble last year, the first one.
That the greatest Royal Rumble too, wasn't there one? Or
no, the greatest Royal Rumble was in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia doesn't.
Oh yeah, they don't like women. You don't like your women here.
They like pussy, but they don't like them wrestling.
Yeah, bitches. But yeah, so I think they said, "Hey, ladies, tonight." And what I liked about this match, if you don't agree with me, you can leave a comment. But if not, fuck you. I'm glad they didn't bring back a lot of old ass. Like here comes Lita, here comes Trish Stratus.
They're not gonna win either way. They're just kind of like a nostalgia thing.
Yeah. So I'm glad that they use like a lot of NXT and like other to fill the 30 spots and stuff. So that was pretty.
Some good wrestlers that they brought from NXT that won I don't remember what her name is, but she's Chinese. She wore like all red.
Yeah.
She was pretty good. Then they had those two Japanese chicks, Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. They were good. That NXT UK Women's Champion, that big ass biker looking bitch. She was pretty good. Yeah, but it was like pretty much from start to finish. The Royal Rumble, Women's Royal Rumble was good. It even outshined the Men's Royal Rumble this year. The Men's Royal Rumble, I felt kind of started off slow.
Yeah, it took a while for it to kick in, and then
you had the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne, and Aleister Black. They were kind of like the two main guys that stole the show in the Men's Royal Rumble. But other than that, it felt kind of predictable, like that they would have Seth Rollins win. But this year definitely it was a Women's Royal Rumble that stole the show. That and then the Brock Lesnar match. I felt the Brock Lesnar match was pretty good.
Yeah, they were trying to push the whole David and Goliath, Finn Balor versus the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
It really felt like Finn Balor was going to win that one, or maybe like be really close to winning, because there was like one part where like he drives Brock Lesnar into the announcer's table on his dick.
Yeah.
And then the whole match or whatever, Brock Lesnar's just like, oh, my fucking dick. Like, there's like even one point where like he cusses and they bleep it out because he like really sells that whole like, oh, I got my dick hurt. And I don't know, it was a good match.
I had my dick flapping along the announcer's table.
And Balor pretty much had the whole thing won, like from start to end, until he pulled the Randy Orton and did a Kimura lock from out of nowhere. Yeah, that match was kind of took me off guard because I felt like, oh, they're just gonna make it so that Brock Lesnar like beats the shit out of Finn Balor for like 10 minutes or whatever.
Like Roman Reigns, because that one match he kicked his ass the whole damn thing, and then
Roman Reigns.
And then Roman Reigns for a little bit, he's sorry, he's fighting back, he's not gonna give up, and then
And also, what's his name?
Braun Strowman.
Yeah, Braun Strowman. His matches were what, like 5 minutes in total.
Whoa!
How many matches did he have? Like 2?
Yeah.
Against Brock Lesnar already, and both times he just got his butthole raked by Brock Lesnar's.
Not his ass, but his ass. Who did there was a match with Shane McMahon. He wrestled didn't he wrestle a match?
I think they wrestled the Bar. It was a tag champion match.
I remember they said that a lot of people didn't like that match. I thought it was okay, but a lot of people were like, I guess most of the comments that I saw where people had about it were with Shane McMahon. They're like, man, he just like understand like he does his own little thing, but it was like he does the same shit every match. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he's gonna do that, and he's in the ropes. Oh, he's gonna do that little Shane punch, yeah, and he's gonna do this, do that, and it was kind of like, like a lot of people were like, oh, we're tired.
The plan right now is for Shane McMahon to go heel at one point, and I think they're gonna have a match at WrestleMania with The Miz and Vince and Shane McMahon. It's the plan right now.
Yeah, I think that was the one that they teamed up.
That's what they're kind of like teasing towards for WrestleMania. But other than that, other news is kind of like how they're being really progressive, and WWE is really pushing the whole women's movement. For WrestleMania, it kind of looks like this year they're gonna have Becky Lynch facing off with Ronda Rousey for the women's title. Is going to be like the main event.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Y'all can shoot me or whatever. I'm not a big Ronda Rousey fan. I don't know why. Either. I didn't like her when she was Ultimate Fighter or UFC fighter. I didn't care for her. I was like, And then when she came to WWE, I was like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
She's not a good wrestler.
Here comes another Ken Shamrock. No.
Like a lot of the moves, what was it recently? She fought against Sasha Banks. You could tell like she didn't know what she was doing too much. Like a lot of the moves are botched.
I want to plan a trip for one of us next time the WWE comes to Austin or San Antonio. I want us to go watch them, and then if Ronda Rousey wrestles, what's that girl with the red hair? Eva Marie.
Yeah, Eva Marie.
When she comes out, I'm gonna go, Eva, you can't wrestle, Eva, or something. I'm gonna put a sign that says Ronda can't wrestle, and I'm gonna put, I thought we got rid of Eva Marie and stuff like that, and piss people off. That's one thing I want to do. If you do, I'm gonna bring a whole buttload of signs and be like,
just piss off Ronda Rousey fans.
Yeah, Rousey is lousy. Hey, that's a new
Ronda is lousy.
Rousey is lousy.
Yeah.
They're gonna start doing that at the events, and I know where.
I think the plan right now is to have Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey main event WrestleMania. I'm kind of hyped for that.
Yeah.
Just because they've been building it for so much, and they've been building as Becky Lynch as this like kind of like badass character like The Rock.
Yeah.
And then it kind of feels like The Rock versus Stone Cold.
It's like The Rock meets the movie Brave with the little redheaded Scottish girl. Or she's Irish. Never mind. My three favorite wrestlers right now, female, would be Charlotte Flair, just because she's the queen. And my favorite though is Asuka. I think they should have kept her as more of a unstoppable thing. You know what I mean? Because for a while she was the how many years? 3 years or something like that.
She was like undefeated for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, in NXT, and then she comes WWE and loses to Charlotte, which I'd rather her lose. And then she lost that one match to what's her face, Carmella, and I was like, oh god, that was painful. I was like, because I don't like Carmella even now.
She's not a good wrestler, and plus she's fucking annoying.
Yeah, I was like, really, you're gonna have Asuka lose to her? Like, oh, that was, even though No Chin got in the match, James Ellsworth, but I was still like, that's cheap. I wouldn't have.
Yeah, at least they're trying to bring her back right now because she's a SmackDown Women's Champion. In other wrestling news, we have AEW. They're going down. Recently, they had a press conference for their Double or Nothing pay-per-view event that they're going to have, I think, in March, May, something like that. They announced all their like kind of signings right now. The big one being Kenny Omega is going to be with AEW. That kind of brings us into like this whole thing where like WWE is kind of like they're panicking over what AEW is doing. It looks like they're going to be signing some WWE stars there in the future. Might be another.
Well, we got to look at it from this point of view. It's like, picture the WWE and like the whole wrestling industry as like the food industry. Let's say if the WWE is like, Pizza Hut, and they take over all the restaurants. There's no, and it's nothing but Pizza Hut everywhere you go. You're gonna get tired of fucking eating pizza. You know what I mean? You're gonna say, hey man, I can go for some fried chicken. I can go for a Subway. But it's like, no, there's only one fucking thing. You know what I mean? So, now that there's AEW, hopefully there'll be some more organizations that pop up that's like, can give competition. So it's like, okay, well, we don't just have this to watch, or this is all we're limited to. We can watch this, or hey, check this out. And my prediction, we were talking about it earlier, I think that the WWE is going to try to find some way to do like a Monday Night War, or reenactment of AEW once AEW gets more established and starts, proving itself as its own entity. I think they're going to get some Monday night, where it's like, where it's either scripted or unscripted. It's going to be like, oh shit, John Cena got signed to AEW. What the hell, And then it's going to be like, if they're in on it, it could be like, oh my God, they acquired John Cena, the biggest, WWE thing, these days. And then all of a sudden, like, John Cena turns his back on AEW and he's like, oh, I was WWE all the time, homie, whatever. And it's like, oh my God, John Cena was a double agent, and all this kind of stuff. And it's that whole, like, the war they had with the WCW, but now it would be AEW. And so this is way, one, WWE saves face and says, oh, we'll see, we're, that was our intention to, help, and then also it gives AEW some more credibility because it's like, well, damn, we're going head to head with the number one WWE wrestling organization or so. if you think about it that way, it'll be a win-win situation for both people because WWE kind of gets a little bit of the flack taken off of them, and then AEW gets a little bit of a boost and gets a little bit more credibility. So, but then again, I don't know. AEW may be like, ECW or one of these other groups are like, fuck WWE. We're doing good on our own. We're gonna give you some competition. Either sink or swim, motherfucker. And then but even with that, because if you agree, the wrestling has been pretty lame for the past couple of years. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
yeah.
So I mean, this was nothing but good can come of this because it's gonna make the WWE
kind of work harder for like trying to keep the fans more entertained.
Exactly.
Kind of stop all the bullshit where like
the Attitude Era Part 2.
Yeah, hopefully it'll start something like that.
Bring back the bra and panties match. No.
Yeah, hopefully like it kind of improves like the WWE like from what it's at right now. All the time you see like Stephanie McMahon comes to the stage and is trying to fuck over Seth Rollins or I don't know like
whoever's the focus for that week, and
yeah, it'll kind of make them try to raise their game a little bit, especially because a lot of rumors are going around with like WWE superstars or their contracts are ending soon and they might go over to AEW.
Yeah, and like we talked about it before, it was it's natural because like there's just an oversaturation of talent in the WWE. You know what I mean? We've got Samoa Joe, you've got Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, somebody they're pushing lately, Elias. You know what I mean? We got all these like, so right there, I just named like 9 people, and there's only one. There's only like three titles: the Intercontinental, the 2 championships, so 4 or 5 titles. And so you've got right there 9, 10, and those are just off the top of my head. I mean, there's other superstars that are trying to make their way and they're gaining popularity, but it's like, well, like another one we'll talk about, Dean Ambrose, but and so there's only so much you can do, you know what I mean? Because if you can't make all 9, 10 of those people I just mentioned, champion, you know what I mean? So it's got to be,
it has a lot to do more about with like WWE writers, how they don't know how to build up their superstars. Where like I don't know, like you remember back in the day, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you had The Rock, you had
Triple H.
You had multiple people at the same time
Mick Foley
being top guys. You had Chris Benoit, rest in peace. You had a lot of guys where like they were top guys, and they were all kind of like in the same like title picture, but you actually felt, oh yeah, well they had credibility as like, oh, he could become champion or whatever. But like nowadays you have like Braun Strowman, he gets pushed for like a couple of matches, and then out of nowhere he gets beat by like some like undercard guy like Zack Ryder or something like that. Like it kind of just like lowers down his whole credibility after getting pushed for so much.
And then you get. Well, I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on this of Jinder Mahal being the world champion? I thought it was pretty cool because it was unpredictable. Like, I never, in a million years, if you would have told me Jinder Mahal would be the world champion in WWE, I would have been like, you're fucking crazy.
I thought it was a good experiment.
Yeah, but see, and it was like, I don't know, like they tried it and they say, hey, this is crazy. And then it's like, okay, stop. Like, let's pull back. Yeah.
Just did a whole like 360 on Jinder Mahal. But like, I don't know, like the writers don't know how to like keep people as being top guys. Like you'll have like right now you only have Seth Rollins as a top guy. All the rest of them are kind of just like
And like AJ Styles is a good, he's been at the top for a while, but I think he went to the top too fast. You know what I mean? So like it's like they pushed him really quickly and he won the title. How long was he there? For like a month, 2 months, and he won the title for the first time.
I wasn't too sure.
But it was pretty quick.
It
was within a year that he started, like, and he's like, next thing you know, I'm gonna be champion, the world. And next thing you know, like within a year, he was champion, and then, which is good because I think he deserves. He's a great wrestler, but also it's like, oh shit, well, where do we go from here? Because he's already
like after that, he only had he only headlined like what 2 pay-per-views or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you drop him, he loses
the rest of the year. He had feuds with like what Samoa Joe, and
then it's like he loses the title. Then it's like, okay, what do we do? Do we put a U.S. title on him? Do we put do we pair him up with Daniel Bryan, and have him be a tag team champion with or somebody like that, or so yeah, there's and so unfortunately, like it's like, well, shit, where do we go from here? He's already the top guy. He's been the top guy, and I don't know how many times he's won the belt now. Like what? He's like a 2 or 3 time champion. It's like, okay, so what do we do? They try to reinvent him as like a heel, but that didn't really work out, I don't think, very well.
I liked him as a heel with the club. But they just kind of, again, like the writers just kind of went like 360 on the whole club thing.
And what was the recent thing? He's like, y'all don't know the real AJ Styles.
Like, they're trying to make him like into like, not a heel, but like
they're trying to get the magic of Stone Cold Steve Austin, where he fights the authority, but he's still cool with the kids, and stuff. And that was my AJ Styles impression.
And that kind of brings us into like Dean Ambrose. Right now, it kind of seems like they might kind of go with like kind of CM Punk kind of route with him, because right now he at the time of recording this he made a promo where he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave WWE because my contract's gonna expire soon, and hopefully like they do end up doing something like CM Punk, and it's not like just like,
well, see, we were talking about it being bogus a while ago, and the only reason I would think it was bogus is because they let him finish the promo. You know what I mean? Like with CM Punk, they kept trying to turn off the radio because it wasn't scripted. It was like, shit, he's going off the rails. What do we do? This one, it's like they had the fucking multiple camera angles, and it was like, all right, go out there. We're going to start off with a close-up shot, and then we're going to go to the panoramic view from the side, and then we'll cut back to this view, and then we'll cut back to with you here, and then the foreground, you can see the Titantron. You know what I mean? Like they almost like planned it out, and like it was exactly like so many minutes because it coincides with the time frame of how the show is set up. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's both. I think it was just something to up their game, like we were talking about, with AEW, to be like, oh shit, what's going on? Yeah. Let's watch it. What do you think? You think it's legit?
Yeah, I don't think it's legit either. I don't think he's gonna quit WWE. He's making too much money, even if he's not doing anything. But it kind of seems like they're going the route of CM Punk, where he's like, kind of like, he might leave and he might take a title with him or whatever to AEW, but he's not actually gonna leave. He's just gonna kind of be like this guy who speaks his mind or whatever. Hopefully they kind of do something like that, just because Dean Ambrose was one of those guys where like you never really saw him as like really like a tough guy. Like in the Shield he was cool or whatever because he was like the loose cannon guy, but you never really saw him as like, oh, he's a future champion or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was good, but I was like, I remember when the Shield first came out, everybody was talking Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
I remember Scott Hall, they were doing an interview with, I think, Pro Wrestling something, whatever, and he was like, yeah, man, the Shield's pretty cool, man, but I would keep an eye on this Roman Reigns guy, man. He's got potential, whatever. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, man, I like this Roman Reigns guy. And this is before they started pushing him when he was still in the Shield, and all he would say is, believe that, in the promos,
Suffer sucker.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose would be doing his thing, and Seth Rollins would say something, and then it's all right. Well, we got to get Roman Reigns to say something. So he'd be like, "Believe that," and then that was it. And I was like, "All right, well, in the promo." But yeah, so I'm glad where he, I remember when he first got into the whole championship picture. You know what I mean? He was trying to win the Money in the Bank, and he won it that one night from, was it Seth Rollins or something like that? But they ended up reversing it because, like, oh, he didn't, whatever, or something like that. Remember that one night in Raw?
Like that.
It was like, oh, he didn't win because the referee didn't do this, or it wasn't a sanction, whatever, and stuff. So they, but it was like, oh, there was like some technical, oh, he didn't get the briefcase, so it doesn't count, or whatever. But anyway, then I was like, everybody was all excited, and I had to admit, I was all like, yeah, like, fuck yeah. And then it was like,
yeah. Why is everybody screaming around here?
I was like, yes. Dean Ambrose, he won the championship. Yes, he did. He's the world champion. Yes, he is. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, he might leave maybe like I said, if they're in cahoots with AEW, to be like, hey, we'll give you guys some exposure and we'll let you use some of our superstars to kind of like be like, oh fuck, Dean Ambrose jumped ship, and then some ways down the road he comes back and it's like, oh, the return of Dean Ambrose, the lunatic fringe, and stuff, and so I don't know. I mean, you never know, but that's like the recent buzz.
Yeah, this whole AEW thing is gonna be good for everybody. I don't think WWE is gonna end up losing with any kind of AEW stuff that's going on right now. Just gonna make both companies some money.
And most importantly, the fans are the ones who are gonna win because we're gonna be getting great matches. Because like I said, everybody's gonna be upping their game. AEW is gonna be striving to compete with WWE, and WWE is gonna be trying to put out something that's either as equally as good or better than AEW. So in the end, we win.
We win, bitches.
We win.
And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Makes me so happy. Makes me want to do a Bee Gees scream. You know the Bee Gees, right? Whenever I get happy, I go, ha! So, yeah, this is going to make me doing a Bee Gees scream because I'm happy that where wrestling is going, it's going into a good place.
So, anything to wrap it up?
Elias is God. Oscar, will you marry me? Other than that,
remember, guys, sometimes death is better.
Sometimes she might be a tranny.